A man who has no fixed purpose in life cannot possibly live for long. Seneca. You speak of anxiety as if it fell upon you like rain. As if it were an external fog drifting into your life without cause, without welcome, without permission. You say the weight is invisible, the breath is short, the heart is fast. And yet, you never stop to ask. What is it that I am truly afraid of? Anxiety is not the enemy. It is the symptom. It is the sound your soul makes when it is unoccupied, misaligned, or deeply confused. It is the voice of an unlived life, restless, empty, and circling itself like a starving animal. You believe you are anxious because of pressure. But pressure only breaks what has no structure. And you have not built one. You have no direction. You drift. You consume. You respond. You react. You escape. But you do not lead yourself. You ask why you are afraid, but have never defined what you must do. You speak of tension, but you have not given yourself a reason to endure. You ache, but you have not given your soul a battle worthy of the pain. No man feels steady who walks without aim. And no man feels peace who does not know his purpose. Anxiety comes to the idle more than to the burdened. To those whose minds wander because they are not rooted in service. To those who wake without duty, who fill the day with tasks but never touch necessity. What frightens you is not the future. It is the fact that you have not claimed your role in it. You were not made to drift. You were not made to rest. You were not made to be entertained. You were made to contribute. To act in accordance with your reason. To live in harmony with what is good. To carry the burden that is rightly yours, and no one else's. When a man abandons his duty, he makes room for fear. When he no longer knows why he should rise. Then everything becomes unbearable. You do not need to silence the anxiety. You need to question it. Ask. What have I refused to commit to? What task have I abandoned? What noble struggle have I neglected? A soul without a mission is a soul exposed to every wind. And the world is full of winds. You cannot stand still in the storm unless you are rooted. Rooted in conviction. Rooted in order. Rooted in the reason for your existence. You live as if life were something to avoid pain in, not something to act within. And so your pain grows stronger. It grows louder. It takes the name of anxiety. But its true name is hollowness. There is no drug for lack of direction. There is no escape from the consequence of not living rightly. When you numb the anxiety, you numb the signal. And the problem deepens. You are not meant to feel peace at all times. Peace is not a mood, it is a result. The result of alignment. Of action. Of obedience to the nature inside you. But you disobey it. You fill your days with avoidance. You fear silence, so you never hear what the soul is asking. You fear challenge, so you never grow into your form. You fear suffering, so you never give it meaning. And then you call that fear a sickness. But the sickness is spiritual. And its only medicine is purpose. A man with a mission does not fear chaos. He expects it. He accepts it. He moves through it, because his eyes are fixed beyond it. But when there is no why, then every what becomes unbearable. You want comfort. But comfort is not neutral, it's corrosive when there is no direction. You want relief. But relief from what? From effort? From responsibility? Relief that is not earned is rot. And you are rotting from the inside. Not because you are too weak. But because you are unanchored. The soul is not meant to be still in luxury. It is meant to be still in motion. Like the warrior who walks through battle without panic, not because the world is calm. But because he knows what he must do. You have forgotten what must be done. Or worse, you've never dared to ask. Because the answer would cost you everything. Your comfort. Your distractions. Your excuses. Anxiety is a demand. A demand to return to the path. To stop running in circles. To stop asking the world to give you peace. And start building peace with your own hands. Peace is not found. It is earned, in the furnace of direction. The Stoics knew this. The man who has submitted to reason does not fear discomfort. He fears wasting the brief flicker of time he's been given. Do not fear your anxiety. It is the teacher. It says, you were not made for this. You were not made for this aimlessness, this idleness, this smallness. You were made to act. You were made to serve something higher. You were made to carry your burden with honor, and to endure all that follows. The soul cannot be healed by escape. Only by obedience to its true task. So stop naming your restlessness as disease. Name it what it is. A call to arms. You have mistaken peace for silence. You have confused stillness with numbness. You do not need to feel less, you need to live rightly. You fear anxiety, but have you feared uselessness? A man without a mission suffers more than a man in battle. Because he dies every day, slowly, inwardly, without scars. He walks among others, speaks, eats, and moves, but something within him rots. He rots not because life is hard, but because it is aimless. And the soul was not made for that. Your fear is not that you will fail. It is that you will live without meaning, and no one will notice. Your fear is not that you will suffer. It is that your suffering will be for nothing. But suffering is not your enemy. Meaningless suffering is. So begin again. Not with pleasure, not with comfort, but with purpose. Ask yourself without flinching. What must I become? Not what would feel good. Not what would make others proud. But what would bring my soul into alignment with what is true. You were not made to please. You were made to endure. To build. To suffer with reason. To act without reward. And that begins not with a vision board, but with an inner vow. I will no longer live as a spectator. I will take the weight that belongs to me. A mission is not a job. It is not a brand. It is not a hobby that gives you dopamine. A mission is the burden you are willing to carry. Even if no one sees it. Even if no one claps. Even if it breaks you. Because something in you knows. This is mine. Do not wait for passion. The disciplined man is not led by passion, he is led by principle. He wakes not for mood, but for duty. He does not wait to feel ready. He trains until readiness becomes his nature. So ask. What task calls for you in the silence? What idea haunts you when the noise dies down? That is the beginning. Not certainty, but resonance. The soul recognizes its mission. Not through applause. But through a quiet, yes, in the marrow of your bones. You fear that you will choose wrongly. But indecision is a worse sin than error. The one who walks in error may learn. The one who never begins remains lost forever. So choose. Choose something that demands more of you than you think you can give. Choose something that makes your comfort irrelevant. Choose something that could break you, and then build yourself to endure it. This is how the Stoic lives. Not in retreat, but in alignment. You ask how to find your mission. Begin with what repels your laziness. Begin with what your fear avoids. Begin with the thing that, if you died today, you would regret never doing. Not because it's glamorous, but because it is yours. Not because it excites you, but because it is worthy of your life. There is no peace without obedience. You cannot feel good when you live wrongly. You cannot numb a soul that wants to serve something higher. If you cannot find your mission, then serve someone else's. Help build what matters. Stand where you are needed. Offer your strength, even when your purpose feels unclear. Because sometimes the mission is not found in thinking. Sometimes it is found in doing, in building muscles of meaning one choice at a time. You wake and say, I don't know what to do. Then do the thing you would do if your soul were watching you. Because it is. Act as if your future self were already watching. Judging. Remembering. Because it will. Act as if your silence is betrayal. Because it is. Act as if your smallest habits are forming a throne or a grave. Because they are. The man with a mission does not avoid pain. He accepts it. He does not chase applause. He walks into solitude. He does not seek to be understood. He seeks to fulfill his task. Even if no one understands it. Even if he dies before it is finished. This is the man who no longer fears anxiety. Because he has replaced noise with structure. Distraction with devotion. And fear with fire. You have not failed. You have paused. Now rise. You do not need to feel ready. You need to begin. You do not need to see the whole path. You need to take one honest step. Toward duty. Toward burden. Toward the life that scares you. And you must take it without asking permission. This is how a soul is restored. Not through comfort, but through alignment. Not through safety, but through sacrifice. Not through peace that is given, but through war that is chosen. So if you feel anxiety, do not medicate it. Meditate on it. Ask what it wants. Ask what it hates. Ask what you would do if you were not afraid. Then go do it, afraid. That is courage. That is the beginning. That is the path home. You don't have anxiety. You have potential screaming at you to be used. You have strength decaying because it is not tested. You have fire smothered by comfort. Your task is not to escape fear. Your task is to earn peace. And peace, for the Stoic, is not a state of ease. It is the reward of right action. Now rise. Your soul is waiting.